The problem is not the amount of nerfs versus buffs. It is the implication of the nerfs and buffs, which unfortunately I can't really get into too much because we do not have a Zerg in the finals. It is going to be a TVP. So let's get into it, guys. In the top right, defeating Trifax's best run, I believe, so far in the Open Cup. Shutting that narrative down. It is MaxPax. Bottom left, also contributing to the loss of the upset narrative. It is Clem, who dispatched the 2 Protoss, of which were also having pretty good Open Cups themselves. Said, nope, stop it. You can't have it. Nope, go away. And order has been restored. MaxPax versus Clem in the finals, as one would expect. So Aeric Fire gave us a pretty nice game number 2, really. I think there was promise in that one. Still overall an underdog story. Right now, MaxPax and Clem, they are knocking each other out, man. They are doing haymakers. Big old haymaker, and then they have to take a break. And then a big old haymaker, and they have to take a break. And it's going both directions. One person knocks out the other, and they take a break. And that break, of course, what I'm talking about is the break between Open Cups. But that's what they're at. It's like the Terran versus the MaxPax, and everyone is just beating each other. Not just bloody, but also exhausting themselves. There are some occasionally epic battles of Clem MaxPax or here Marine MaxPax, but that is the story of them. It used to be that MaxPax was always on the receiving end. He would get clobbered. He would be on the floor 10 seconds after the bell against both of those Terrans. It was that good. It was not a good time for MaxPax. And then at some point, he started to really focus on improving his PvT, and it has worked out wonderfully for him. He would occasionally kind of decrease in skill, and then he'd come back up, and decrease in skill, and then he'd come back up. And it does feel like he's only up and up once again. I believe most recently, Clem defeated MaxPax. And I can double check.
Warning. Philanthropist programs detected in comm server 04.
Thank you very much, Clem, for the 2 gifted subs. Or Clem, Jesus, 47 is for the 2 gifted subs. I was typing Clem. No, last time it was MaxPax who won. Before that it was Clem. Before that it was Clem. Then it was MaxPax, MaxPax. Then it was Clem. Then it was, okay. Very back and forth. And another gifted sub for 47 is. Thank you. I bought them fancy pastry stuff. I was in Germany. Ooh, that is nice. Yeah, I always like getting people things that are edible, basically.
Warning. Philanthropist programs detected in comm server 04.
And then even if they don't like it, it feels like less of a waste. 47 is just dropping gifted subs. Thank you. Now we have openers settled. 111 coming out here from Clem. After a factory expand. Very safe, high ground factory expand. For MaxPax, he has opted into the Stargate Phoenix play.
Warning. Philanthropist programs detected in comm server 04.
Which means that he is, today, not over-depending on his 4-gate and his DT rush, which he just kind of seems to go in waves. Sometimes he does nothing but those things, and other times he actually goes for, I would say, more typical. You know, Phoenix openers into Blink, Phoenix into Charge, Phoenix and Colossus is the least typical of all of those, I suppose, but not uncommon, not weird. And sometimes he goes into 2 gateway Blink instead of 4, right? Yeah. Seems, at least for the start of this series, MaxPax is playing a little more on the macro side. It does seem like TVP is going to remain unchanged with the changes. which I guess is kind of like an oxymoron, but you know what I mean. It's not really going to change too much. I think the only thing that's going to change is late game TVZ and possibly PvZ a little bit more too, actually. But I don't know. I'm not even thinking that TBT is going to change that much, guys, which I do kind of wish we had a Clem here Marine finals. Check that out. But yeah, we didn't. So, but I'm not even sure that's going to change. I feel like Ravens are still going to be too integral to not make, and they're still going to be most of what the early game and late game consists of, but we'll never know. What we have seen is a decent amount of TVP. Frankly, yet to see someone who we would consider a series that we would consider to be incredibly even. No shade to the other guys who've played. Eric Fire had a really great series, actually, all things considered, versus Clem. It just was, okay, he's Clem. You know, it was one of those things. MaxPax Clem is going to be the most even TVP we've had. But I still think we saw a decent amount from the other matches already, and that has at least shown us that no one's really changing all that much. Pojumi try, but I don't think it's because of the PTR changes, just the way that he plays. So, you know, if we continue seeing that with these guys, well, then it's basically going to be fact. There's not going to be a big change in this matchup. Wouldn't gets an amazing shot off on the Phoenix to hit all the Phoenix, basically, and injure them. Most of them getting into their whole health as well is excellent. It'd be cooler if they killed a bunch of Phoenix, but you gotta take what you can get. So MaxPax, I mean, again, important that he doesn't lose any more Phoenix. Has to be a little more careful now. So it still hurts. Still a mistake from him not to notice the Widow Mine or think about it, prepare for it. Anticipate and be wary. Now Clem is finally ready to go. That is a lot of Phoenix. That is not just your 5 or 6. That is up to 8 Phoenix. Observer gets scans. It is a bit fatter. It's a bit chunky. But I don't think that's going to contribute to pros seeing it or not seeing it. It's also a little bit faster. Reverting a nerf to it years ago. So again, not the most important thing to talk about. Still very good unit retention from MaxPax. I mean, at the end of the day, if he doesn't lose any of these injured Phoenix, then A freaking plus. All right, it's just that the weakened Phoenix are kind of supposed to lead into a few more kills. So that's why I said it's still a mistake that he let that happen. But if it never loses a Phoenix, then okay, whatever. Yeah, I guess you're a god. And so far, he's only lost one, and that was very early on. I'm not even sure what killed it. Maybe a Cyclone lock-on. So, job well done. I'm gonna bring that unit's resource loss, units lost tab up again. That is kind of amazing. That's not a perfect game for MaxPax, but it was dangerously close to being so.
Warning. Philanthropist programs detected in comm server 04.
So Clem never actually did any type of push out. He just continues bleeding units while MaxPax does the damage and then also macros up behind. I've been so impressed with the Phoenix control and the suppression that MaxPax has been dealing out to Clem that I haven't really checked in on MaxPax's macro. I'm gonna assume it was pretty good. And as 4 bases are almost complete, 73 probes, I'd say it has been. It probably has never been a super significant jump up, but again, I can't bring that income graph up thanks to the mods they're using right now. But even while Clem can say, you know what, I'm just gonna play steady. I'm gonna make sure I don't take any unnecessary damage. Well, he's already kind of failed on that. There's been so much damage taken from Clem. And then, yeah, okay, maybe he does make it to the mid to late game of TVP in pretty much okay fashion. I still would say it's not a game that Terrans are comfortable playing, really. I mean, Spirit can do all of the late game setups that he wants in TVP, but every time I watch that guy lose in those situations, I'm convinced that he's actually not that comfortable. He just thinks that it's the way he has to play. The Terran's the one that's supposed to be scaring the Protoss a little bit, and it has been the Protoss that is mostly scaring the Terran. Maybe a little overeager towards the engagement here, but yeah, probably not. Nope, they actually still win. Sometimes when you start to lack the Immortals, the Stalkers, the Archons aren't getting the shots, the Zealots are gone, you are in this weird zone of having a decent damage output, but not enough to kill Marauders, and also being, you know, vulnerable to said Marauders. So that happened for like a second there, and then MaxPax was cleared. MaxPax was clear to take this game. That was much more one-sided than I was anticipating. It felt like Clem couldn't do anything. Thank you, 47 is for all the gifted subs. Wow, bet's heavily favoring MaxPax. Oop, best of 5. Top left, up 1. It is MaxPax. In the bottom right, as the red Terran, it is Clem. So MaxPax playing an almost flawless first game. Hey, it's always an exaggeration because no game of StarCraft 2 is perfect or flawless or whatever, but it just felt like, it kind of felt like, I guess, what I expected the last series to feel like. The underdog just trying their best to keep up and then tapping out after kind of a meh engagement. Actually, game 2 of Eric Fire Clem was a lot more action-packed, a lot more back and forth. Now, do I believe that means Clem is just way worse than MaxPax? No. But damn if that wasn't convincing as far as MaxPax being better at PvT. I mean, kind of amazed. Certainly some bias. There's no co-caster to kind of pull me back from watching MaxPax do his thing to focus on what Clem could or could not do. But at the end of the day, whether, you know, I could have maybe hypothesized more for Clem, nothing ever happened. Like, I kind of have the benefit of hindsight here. The benefit if I watched that go down. Because even if you could say, like, you really focus too much on this or this, at the end of that game, it is not incorrect for me to say Clem didn't do shit. Like, Clem didn't do anything. So even if I could have sat there saying, well, no, Clem has 16 Marauders, so maybe if he gets the best, you know, concave, then it could really go south. Like, it didn't matter because it didn't happen. That game was almost as if MaxPax was playing versus a bit of an AI. Obviously not entirely. There's a lot that was going on in terms of reading each other, both mentally as well as the actual game, blah, 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 blah. But MaxPax got to micro his little heart out without true repercussions. He lost 1 Phoenix. And then he also got to macro his little heart out because nothing was happening on his side of the map. So there is really no back and forth in terms of like physical things on the map. There might have been more to it in terms of the game played on the what's it, the not surface level, the deeper layer that is StarCraft. But on the surface level, there wasn't much there for Clem. So hopefully this game is different. But already MaxPax looking to, once again, just keep Clem under his thumb from even earlier on. He's going to go for a proxy gateway. Now, the Reaper of Clem gets into the main after killing 2 probes, too, not too shabby, and sees no technology but an additional gateway. And MaxPax has done this build before, so it's no longer a, oh my god, what the hell is this? He knows it's a proxy gateway, and then he needs to be concerned about basic gateway units, but more of them than you would expect than, normal. So in this case, it's going to be Adepts. And they are going to Shade. I'm not sure that was actually a smart idea, though. I don't think so. I will say, Proxy Gate, as in, early game, MaxPax, or 1 gate proxy, 1 gate at home, that I still see do some damage. I've not actually been that convinced by this particular build that MaxPax has been showing. But, yeah, we'll see. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. And that might actually be what MaxPax is usually going for anyways. So the first shade in was, I don't think it was right, but second set of units, a little more promise. It's doing stuff. It's doing stuff. MaxPax, macroing at home, is up 9 workers, but that's kind of where you want to be as a Protoss player anyways. Blink is halfway done, and he still has a proxy gateway up. And that's not really going to be tackled by Clem for some time. And in fact, I've seen Terrans kind of forget to take care of this and let the pylon stay up. This does fold into a Blink Contain, which is kind of cool. So you can see how this works out. You can see how someone who's really good at the game would really like this build. But yeah, I think you have to be really good at the game. You have to read the engagements. You have to really be well practiced with it as well. So you're getting all the timings down right back at home to make sure you're not falling behind in any regard. But you also have to make sure that you're taking the right engagements and knowing what the follow-up to the right engagement will entail, right? You're not just throwing bodies and hoping that something works. And MaxPax is pretty good. Sometimes we actually do get to kind of see his builds and his style in infancy, and it can look really bad when you first see it. But over many, many, many games, and most of them we're not watching, right? The latter. He does refine these things. And the best case in point for this, when I'm talking about this whole, he refines it even when it initially looks bad, is his PvP. I mean, that's still the one that started off where people were like, what the hell are you doing? And now is almost default. Big blink into the main base. Seems a little overeager. A lot of stalkers are injured, but fortunately only loses the 1. 8 adepts were made? Okay, I totally missed that. That's my bad. I thought he made 6. So I guess I'm not that far off, but okay, apparently he lost 8 adepts after making 8 adepts. Anyways. Soccer is still continuing to engage. They're only working off of 3 gateways, so this is not all in. And even if it was a 4-gate blink, right, we started with the initial engagement, so it's a bit weirder than that. Clem has, once again, not been able to do anything. And it's not necessarily end game because you don't get across the map. All right, if that was true, a lot of people's games would be a lot easier. All you turtle to 20 minutes would have already won all your games. But it does not bode well when the race considered to be the one that's supposed to be doing stuff is not doing anything. And the longer it goes, the worse it is, right? Because, first 5 minutes, who cares if the Terran doesn't really do anything. But if we're at 15 minutes and the Terran doesn't do anything, again, Spirit sometimes does that on purpose. I never think it's the optimal way to play. I can respect it. I can see how it's sometimes necessary and sometimes just stylistically different, throws the Protoss off. I see all that. I don't think it's the absolute best. And I would say Clem almost always wants to play to the absolute best, the highest skill cap that the race has to offer. And that is the more typical back and forth 2-base attack and a 3-base attack. Maybe a couple of faster 3rd bases every now and again, but still more of a back and forth once you get that settled. And so far, MaxPax hasn't let any back and forth really happen. It is starting to get a little bit sloppier on the control. Not really. Still only losing one stalker. Third base is completely saturated. First Colossus is out. Second actually just popped. And now the third is on the way. And Clem is still trying to get his now very injured third base onto location. Again, I think like last game, it's not been a terrible game for Clem. It's not that he's behind 20 workers and we're wondering what the hell's happening. He is behind about as much as a Terran would be. So it's not that bad. But unless his first foray out into the wilderness is good, unless it brings back a whole damn deer carcass, I feel like he's dead. He is gonna starve. Is going to be the sign of how the rest of the game goes if his mid-game punch doesn't do a whole lot. And already not going particularly well. He wanted to go deal with that proxy gateway, accidentally finds the entire Protoss army. Oh no, he just did this under the range of the observer. Oh my god. So of course MaxPax is gonna dive in here, kill everything that was left over. He's also got Stalkers and Zealots in the main base. He knows about the drop, so he's got that recall ready to go, man. He's gonna try and time it on the fourth base. The boost is gonna run out before it hits the main, and that is it. And that was the equivalent of going out into the wilderness to kill a deer, and the deer kills you. That obviously was not good. That was even worse than I was thinking. And I was thinking already it wouldn't go that well. I was already doubting. And it went even worse. Ow. Ooh, I'm getting something for Frost Giant. I'm special. In the bottom left, up 2-0 now. It is Psystorm Gaming's MaxPax. In the top right, sent out SCV. That's how you do it. It is Clem. So, SCV, gonna go for the Proxy Reaper. Almost guarantees. Yeah, almost guarantees that he's gonna take control of the early game. I had to think through all the builds that Protoss could do, and I guess I have to stick with almost, because technically a Forge, a Cannon Rush kind of beats a Proxy Rax. But assuming, as we do, that Protoss do not Cannon Rush Terran in the professional tournaments, and MaxPax might be a bit odd, but he's not really a Cannon Rusher so much, then yeah, it guarantees the Terran the first kill, the first punch, the first whatever. It puts the Protoss on the defense. So I like that change up. I would even say he has to do this, or the rest of the series will look exactly like the first two games. And it is kind of amazing to think of such a powerful first two games from MaxPax, one where he looks better the second time, even more untouchable the second time. Could easily start to, like, it could easily flip 180 because of this momentum breaker. Not to get too meta or anything like that, but here we go. It's almost, I imagine, like a fighting game. Or a fight, I suppose, since we're a bunch of nerds. I'm gonna stick with esports. Where, you know, you watch someone pummel the other character, and you're wondering, especially if you're not very good at fighting games, like, how in the world does this guy get out of just blocking on the ground? And then suddenly they do the move, they do the thing. And then it just goes completely the other way, and because of the way fighting games work, which I don't actually know, suddenly the guy who was losing at like 10% health gets like the wombo combo and wins that set. I mean, sometimes best ofs can kind of go do that in StarCraft. where it's like, I don't think someone became a much better player halfway, but something happened here. So yeah, I think Clem kind of has to do this. Also comboed it with an engineering bay block as opposed to the bunker. I was thinking about what arrow fire could have done better against the bunker addition to this proxy, and I did eventually think, oh, I guess he could get a zealot. Literally just stop the bunker. And I think that's something that MaxPax was thinking. Also, of course, to deny the engineering bay block, or help to. Had to be canceled faster. And maybe to help with the Reaper micro, or go for a slightly stronger counterattack. The counterattack doesn't usually hold much merits here. Walls are pretty good. MaxPax is a pretty cool kid. He's trying to get the Wood of Mine to pop off on the Shade. Or on the Adept where the Shade finishes, you know what I mean? Reapers have killed in total 5 probes. So even though MaxPax did not have to deal with the bunker shenanigans, and didn't have to deal with a truly extended engineering bay block, still is a pretty good opener for the Terran. MaxPax is going to eventually get some aggression going. Or does he? He actually got 3 gateways again super fast, then Twilight Council Robo. So Blinkless Stalkers. Oh, good find. Good prediction right there. Very good. Wood of Mine was picked up in the medevac, so that's why these units re-engage on the supply depot. He lost the medevac. Oh my god, he lost the medevac! I did not think the Stalkers were actually gonna kill it. That's my bad. That is my bad. And he just gave up? Oh my god. That is one of the most one-sided finals ever in the Open Cup. And definitely has gotta be the most one-sided finals, including Clem. It's gotta. I mean, he's been thrashed before, actually. You know, he's had some not pretty finals. But that one has to be the worst. Damn. Well. GG's. GG's, guys. Super quick Open Cup. Well played to MaxPax, who was a second victory in a row against Clem. It's not anything truly big. Before last week, Clem was the one that beat him. But it does seem to be getting more MaxPax sided. Still on a bit of disbelief. Clem is behind already. Clem had only a, like, 2 or 3 worker deficit, didn't he? I don't know if he was behind. He killed a decent amount of probes. The struggle was going to be getting his natural up, but I think that was inevitable without Blink being done. What the hell? Everyone came out of the woodworks to be a dick. Heavy package, don't be a dick. Oh, Suevo, don't be a dick. I'm lost in order to give us Terrans extra chance to renegotiate patch terms. I like it. Am I supposed to be as far behind? I'm taking a look at that game. Because this has ended so quickly anyways. Let's check how far behind Clem was. I think a Clem who wasn't tilted, who wasn't already down 0-2, doesn't tap out, but obviously losing the Woodamine drop like that is just kind of a disaster in any game. You're at least supposed to get some denied mining. Most of the time, you're supposed to leave at the medevac. This year, to save him from tears, Clem gave it to someone special. So yeah, check again, right? I don't think that Clem tapping out is embarrassing or bad, really. I think he was outgunned today, acknowledged it. I think any Terran in any build who loses the first like 2 base or 1 base is what I mean, right? Who loses this Woodamine drop like this is already in a terrible position. So I don't think him leaving is uncalled for. But until this happens, the scenario is MaxPax has no upgrades. He doesn't have blink, doesn't have charge. Obviously no forge, that's less of a problem, but no blink. He doesn't have any warp prism to take the map control with yet. Maybe that was his plan. And he's only ahead by 2 workers because Clem killed 5 probes. And we know that with the command center about to be taken, because this tank would have popped eventually, and this would have been taken. So let's go ahead and assume within 10 seconds, the second base is going to be taken. There's a 4 worker difference, and we know that Protoss want to be up 8 workers against 2 mules. So, no, I don't think that Clem was super far behind up until this point. I think the opener worked out. I think the opener worked out because he killed 5 probes. If he killed 0, then it's different. Feels like tempo is on MaxPax's side. I mean, maybe. I would say that was strongly influenced by the previous 2 games. This would not be the first time that this counter happened to reveal the Woodamine drop. It would be one of the very, very few times Woodamine drop was nipped in the bud like this, though. I'd say most commonly when I see this counter attack, it's against the Woodamine. And we still see the game play out. So, anyways. But again, while he wasn't super far behind up until... I don't think he was behind until the Woodamine drop. I do think as soon as the Woodamine drop gets taken out like that, you are behind.
Twitch Prime sub received. Thank you for appeasing the overmind.
I think this guy's dumb. Velenariano. Valinoriano. Thank you for the 2 months. I'm sure that's a beautiful name, it's said correctly. Well, that's as much as I'll look into that then. Thanks everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed the cast. And thank you for all the gifted subs. 47 is a bunch of gifted subs coming in here. A lot of resubs as well. Hope everyone had a happy holiday. And we'll continue to. Cat's being cute. I'll be back tomorrow for some ladder, maybe some Home Straight Cup looking at. I don't know when the patch is supposed to happen. It'd really be nice if we knew.